Do Druids still harness the magic of animals, plants, and the 4 elements to heal, transform, and wield elemental destruction?
Find out if the Druid holds up in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. What's going on, YouTube? I'm the Mind Flayer Slayer.
And I'm Dr. DM, and here we go with the 2024 Druid. It is back, and we're going to break it down for you level by level, starting at level 1 to level 20, let you know what's different from 2014 to 2024, and stick around till the end because we're going to give you our tier ranking for the Druid to see if it's good enough for you and your game.
Let's go.
Also, we're going to set out a challenge for everybody here. Anytime during this video, go down to the comments below and let us know who do you think between us two that's going to actually play Druid using the new 2024 rules. If you're correct, we'll come back in a few weeks and heart those comments. So let's get started at level 1.
Druidic! You know Druidic, the secret language of the Druids. While learning this ancient tongue, you also unlock the magic of communicating with animals. You always have the Speak with Animals spell prepared.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that because the utility of a Speak with Animals cannot be underestimated.
Oh, absolutely. There are so many times where a character who has the spell or a druid is going to absolutely be able to figure out what the DM is trying to do so that they can overcome a conflict.
Even if the DM isn't ready for it, because there's animals everywhere, and your DM's trying to put in like a little bit of a plot or figure out what's going on, or maybe there's a murder's happen, and you can be like, oh, is there a squirrel nearby? Because I can talk with that and figure out what happened.
Yeah. You can use Druidic to leave hidden messages. You can also have others who know Druidic automatically spot those messages. Others who would spot a message that is written in Druidic are going to have to take a successful DC 15 intelligence check, and they can't decipher it without magic.
Okay, that's interesting, but for me, I think the most useful portion is the Speak with Animals.
Absolutely.
Which I love. For level 1 ability, it's like a free spell, casting as a ritual infinitely. You're going to use this from level 1 all the way to level 20
all
without
the time.
a doubt. Good one, good one. And better than I think thieves can, because it's not like thieves are able to talk with animals, right?
Exactly.
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great one.
At level 1, you also have Primal Order. You've dedicated yourself to one of the following sacred roles of your choice. Magician, you know 1 extra cantrip from the Druid spell list. In addition, your mystical connection to nature gives you a bonus to your intelligence, arcana, or nature checks. The bonus equals your wisdom modifier, which is a minimum bonus of +1.
Okay.
So an extra cantrip, we'll take it, yeah.
And it's like the cleric has this too now. I think
Yes.
in the paladins too, you kind of have like 2 skill trees you can go down, if you will,
Exactly.
right? One's more like a spellcaster focus, and one we'll see is more battle focus, because you also have the option of taking Warden. Train for battle. You gain proficiency in martial weapons and training with medium armor, which is pretty cool. Druids are, of course, mostly caster focus, unless of course you go down the mood druid route. But besides that, in this case, even though for like cleric we would recommend to take the heavy armor, here you maybe want to take magician, even because you also get the bonus to your intelligence, which you don't have. You can use them as your whiz.
Yeah.
But also medium armor is great, and here's a special thing.
I'm ready.
Remember, in 5th edition, you could not wear metal armor. At least it was heavily implied you cannot wear metal armor.
Exactly.
Here, to me, it seems like it's gone. So now having the medium armor proficiency is really useful, because now you can use all the armors up to your discretion, really. It's not like you have to have, I want to make this kind of half blade, but it needs to be from, dragon scale or something. So Warden's still a great option.
It really is.
If not, maybe the better option.
Depending on how you want to build it.
I agree.
At level 1, you're also going to have access to your spell casting, obviously. You have learned to cast spells through studying the mystical forces of nature. And you can change your prepared spells whenever you finish a long rest. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility depending on what encounter you might be going into, depending on what you think the DM might have up their sleeve, to make a couple switches so that you're more prepared for any given moment.
And the prepared spells for Druid has changed a little bit.
Yes.
In 2014, you had it where I think you added your wisdom or something mod to extra spells known, but now it kind of goes up as you level up, so you have a steadier flow of spells known. So it's kind of like one half does the other, really. So it's about the same.
Yeah.
Your spellcasting ability is going to be wisdom still, and of course you have your focus, which remains the druidic focus or other focus for your spells.
At level 2, you get Wild Companion. You can summon a nature spirit that assumes an animal form to aid you. As a magic action, you can expend a spell slot or use a wild shape to cast Find Familiar without material components. When you cast the spell in this way, the familiar is fey and disappears when you finish a long rest. Okay, very interesting. So that opens up more options in terms of what possibly could be your companion.
Yeah, and usually fey creatures have a little bit extra added bonuses than just like a cat or whatever.
Absolutely.
Find Familiar is always a potent spell to have. Here they can kind of cast it for free and quicker than doing his ritual, which is like 10 minutes or now. I actually don't recall, but it's
That's
definitely
a big
longer.
difference.
Yeah, you can even cast this in combat. So your Familiar goes down, make another one, just have like Familiar meat shields. Oops, sorry, familiars. But yeah, pretty cool. I like this. And at level 2, you get Wild Shape. That is returning. The power of nature allows you to assume the form of an animal as bonus action. This is different. Used to be an action unless you're a Moon Druid. Now all Druids can transform as a bonus action.
Love this change.
Yeah, useful for combat if you want to, or even like for role play, it's gonna be quicker no matter what. So, or you can pair it with some other action you're doing. You shapeshift into a beast form that you've learned from this feature. So if you've learned before, it was like that you've seen, I don't know, you talk to your DM really, because I'm not sure.
Everyone's gonna do this probably a little differently, even with the changes.
Agreed. You stay in that form for a number of hours equal to half your Druid level, so that's different. And definitely an increase is up to 20 hours, almost the whole day, if not longer. Or you have incapacitated condition or die. You can also leave it as a bonus action.
This is great. Being able to do it as a bonus action is huge. You know, obviously it has to be a beast, so this does rule out certain awesome options that we saw even in the crazy cool movie Dungeons & Dragons. So you can't do owlbears, but at my table you can do an owlbear.
Yeah, it's a monstrosity, but who cares?
That's great.
So the number of uses, you can fellowship twice, which is what it used to be. Then at level 20, I think you got unlimited. But now you get them as you level up, and you get up to 4 now.
Yes.
And they're useful now to power not only some things here, but also your subclasses, which are pretty cool. If you don't want to focus so much on wild shaping, there's ways to use that resource, if you will, for other things that are also useful.
And you can use it earlier more practically, because for the other classes in the 2014, it was just difficult sometimes to want to, you really had to split your attention. Like, do I want to go this route? Do I want to go this route? If I go this route, I'm really stuck with wild shape. If I go this route, I'm not going to really be able to do wild shape much at all.
Yeah, so you use like the spellcasting aspect of Druid, and you're not really caring about the animals and all that stuff. I mean, there's ways to use it. Wild shape where it's not that. So flavor it however you want. Also, you get these back on a short rest. I'm sorry, you just get 1 back on a short rest. So it's enough to keep you going, I think, for quite a while.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to help a bunch in like a dungeon crawl scenario where maybe you get knocked out of your wild shape form and you need to refresh that a little bit before a big final encounter.
For sure. And your known forms, 4 beast forms for this feature, chosen among the beast stat blocks with a maximum challenge rating of 1/4, so 1/4 CR, and lack of fly speed, such as a riding horse, spider, etc. Then as you get higher levels, the maximum CR increases to 1 and so forth. Are you still limited? Although at level 8, you do get the fly speed that still comes back, so it's really good for scouting. Of course, as a non-moon druid, you're never probably going to be doing a lot of combat in these forms.
True.
But still, they're there, obviously, for the reasons they're there.
So while you're transformed, you retain your personality, memories, and the ability to speak, and you gain the following benefits. Temporary hit points. When you assume a wild shape form, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your druid level.
Right, this is different. Before, you would actually assume the creature, the whole stat block, their hit points, and you got knocked out of it, right? You lost the creature's total hit points, and you back your druid form, you can transform again, and you get all their hit points again. So that was an issue, I think, for balancing, and we'll see in the Moon Druid especially egregious. So that's gone now. You get temporary hit points equal twice, so at low levels, 2, 6, up to, 2 times 40. So it's a bit of a boost, but the good thing is that even when you lose those temporary hit points, you don't go down from that form. So you stay in your form.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. But I think that, obviously being able to kind of roll those the way the Moon Druid can is pretty busted and kind of...
It was very busted before. It was surely game-changing for your DM and your whole table.
Absolutely.
Where you had basically an infinite bucket of hit points, especially at level 20.
Yeah.
So, and this has been tapered down probably for good reason.
But definitely a little bit of an L.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we like super powerful stuff, so we hate L's.
You're not, if you've been watching this content, you know that we are a high-powered table of min-maxers.
Yeah, we don't like debuffs a lot, but sometimes you got to roll the punches. This is what it is, been replaced with other cool features. And at higher levels, it gets proportionally good, and we'll talk about that. And Moon Druid is still S tier, which we'll talk about.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, this is more or less the same. You can't cast spells still, but shifting does not break your concentration or interfere with spells you've already cast. Here's a good thing, though, is that you, as we mentioned right at the beginning, you can now speak while in wild shape.
This is huge.
Yeah, it is. Because before you had to either take like a species that could talk telepathically, like a Kalishtar, I think one of the gnomes did as well, or you're kind of like at the table like, bark, 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 woo!
Yeah, I love that you can speak now as the form.
Yeah, why not? Because no one wanted to be at the table and just kind of be quiet just because they're animal form. No one can understand them unless speak with animals. So it's just a good thing that needed to happen anyway.
Yeah, I agree. At level 3, as with all classes in the 2024 Player's Handbook, you're going to be getting your subclass. This includes the Circle of the Moon, which has some new features tying into your wild shape. The Circle of the Land, a retooling of how lands works, and the ability to choose different lands during long rests. Very cool. You can also burn wild shapes to tap into land powers.
Which you talked about, yeah.
Yes. And then Circle of the Sea, brand new subclass that provides a range of sea and water-based magical effects. Love that they're giving this as an option, especially for those watery campaigns like our Delphua. Yes, this would be very beneficial. And then Circle of the Stars, which is largely unchanged from the 2014 rules.
And of course, we're going to go through all these Druid subclasses this week, back to back to back. So we are not stopping. We're almost there. Just in time, I think, for the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yes,
so get ready for our review of those and everything else coming up. So, all right, level 5 now, you get Wild Resurgence. Once on each of your turns, if you have no uses of Wild Shape left, you can give yourself 1 use by expending a spell slot. It doesn't say what level, no action required. In addition, you can expend 1 use of your Wild Shape, no action required. Give yourself a level 1 spell slot. You can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Cool way, kind of like the
sorcerer, kind of how you can turn.
Cycle your Wild Shapes with spell slots and back and forth.
I like this a lot. I think it's really cool.
Gives you a lot of utility, I think.
Absolutely. At level 7, you have Elemental Fury. The might of the elements flows through you. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Potent Spellcasting. You can add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any Druid cantrip. Or Primal Strike. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll, using a weapon or a beast's form attack in Wild Shape, you can cause the target to take an extra 1d8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, which you can choose when you hit.
So spoilers, it actually levels up again, and you're seeing kind of like the skill tree evolve for Druid, which is pretty cool, right? If you took like Warden or whatever earlier, or you want to go down the spellcasting path, or the Primal Strike, I will tell you right now, if you're going to go Moon Druid, which probably most people will, also because Druids, I think, was one of the least played classes in all of D&D, and the people that did play usually played Moon Druid for obvious reasons. So, but this is fantastic. It would also work with your Shillelagh because it's using a weapon. Of course, Druids only attack once per turn, but the 1d8 on every time you're attacking.
Oh, that's a huge boon.
Yeah,
it can't be understated.
No, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, I really like this.
So now we're going to advance all the way to level 15 for the next ability you get in the main class for Druid, which is Improved Elemental Fury. So there's Potent Spellcasting when you cast a Druid cantrip with a range of 10 feet or greater. The spell's range increases by 300 feet.
That's a huge difference.
So it's like almost like Eldritch Spear for Eldritch Blast.
It is. It's very similar.
But this is pretty awesome. I think they have a new cantrip now. It's like Starry Wisp. You can make that go 300 feet. That's a lot of range.
That's a huge range.
Bows, I think, too. And also, you know what I'm thinking of? There's what do they have? The Thorn Whip. Has 10-foot range. You can make your whip, your thorn whip, 300-foot whip. Get over here! Like, can you imagine?
It's really cool.
You're getting
tumbling.
Yeah, so, I mean, that in of itself is really sweet role play. But overall, I don't think it's as strong, personally, as Primal Strikes.
The extra damage of your Primal Strike increases to 2d8.
Yeah, that's almost
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's almost like a Divine Smite, if you will, every single turn. So
it's like the equivalent of a whole separate weapon attack. I mean, it's just huge. It's a huge benefit.
But don't sleep on Potent Spellcasting, because if you're a spellcaster, you want to be back. This will let you do damage from literally beyond like 4 or 5 battle maps. Okay, at level 18, you get Beast Spells. While using Wild Shape, you can cast spells in Beast form. Yay!
Yeah, let's go.
Too bad it's level 18, but still. Except for any spell that has a material component with a cost specified or that it consumes material component. So
some limitations, but being able to cast in Beast form is great.
Yeah, and that's brand new.
And then at level 19, you get your Epic Boon. You gain the Epic Boon feat or another feat of your choice, as is the same with all classes in the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. The Boon of Dimensional Travel is recommended for
AKA Sword Whip. Okay, and finally level 20, your Capstone Archdruid. The viability and vitality of nature constantly blooms within you, granting you the following benefits. Evergreen Wild Shape. Whenever you roll initiative and have no uses of Wild Shape left, you gain 1 use of it. That's not too bad. It used to be unlimited, but I mean, at least you get more.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically always going to have it.
Honestly, that's true.
Yeah. Nature Magician. You can convert uses of Wild Shape into a spell slot with no action required. You can choose a number of unexpended uses of Wild Shape and convert them into a single spell slot, with each use contributing 2 spell levels. For example, if you convert 2 uses of Wild Shape, you produce a level 4 spell slot. Once you use this benefit, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest.
Wow, so if you have all 4, you could convert into you get a level 8 spell back. No action required, so you might have more level 8 spells than other casters.
This is true.
Assuming you don't use your Wild Shape, so you got potent, high-level Druid spells, use them again.
And Longevity. The primal magic that you wield causes you to age more slowly. For every 10 years that pass, your body only ages 1. Okay, so this is just a flavor thing. It's not really going to apply to your campaigns, I don't think, but Sure.
Yeah, it is mostly role play. Remember the
I'm a tree!
The Druid Ancients,
Yeah.
I think they had a thing where you don't age visibly, but you still age. This actually at least has some gameplay viability, as in every 10 years that you age, your body only ages 1 year. So after 100 years, you'd only age 10 years.
The Paladin Ancients, you're actually still, like, aging.
Yeah.
But this is like...
So this is actually good.
Yeah, it's actually...
I would say if you pair this with Elf, you could live to be like 10,000 years old.
Oh, absolutely.
So actually, it's kind of cool.
It's pretty cool.
I like it, but it's still, of course, just role-playing. So Druid overall, I think there's been kind of an expansion generally in its kit, which I like. It's taken some hits here or there.
Yeah, and most of the classes have seen some expansion of their kit, even if they've seen some L's. So I'm a fan of this. The scope being increased is obviously good. I don't know, again, if this is going to be super busted. It's going to depend on your subclass in a lot of ways and what type of campaign you're in. And most importantly, what you want to play, what fantasy you want to engage with. For me, this is just a solid B. I mean, it's just there.
I agree. I think that while some things have been added, a little bit is taken away, but mostly added, I don't think this class, other than the spell casting, which of course it has unique spells up and down the list for Druid, but I don't see myself immediately being like, whoa, I gotta play this class. Even if some things are really cool, and even if I was into the wild shape or not, yeah, I'd say a B is pretty solid for this class.
Yeah, and again, I also really like that it's a bonus action for everyone now. I mean, the wild shape form being more accessible to all of the subclasses, I think is overall just a big win. So.
I agree. And there's still one issue with this class, especially for newer players, in that you still have to have like printouts of all the different creatures you want to transform, even if it's like easier now, quote unquote, because you kind of get temporary hit points instead of like a whole other thing, but you're still using the stat block. So there's a lot to juggle there, especially for a new player.
It can be a lot to track.
Yeah, so I would say probably B is good for me.
Well, if you've been enjoying this content, please remember to smite that like button, ring that notification bell, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We love engaging with all of your awesome comments. Thank you so much to all of you. If you would like to support us, you can go over to fanrolldice.com, buy some amazing shiny math rocks, and if you type in code GG10 at checkout, you're going to get 10% off your order, and we'll get a little bit of a kickback so we can continue leveling up this content to bring to all of you awesome viewers.
And you can also join us now on YouTube. Press the join button on our YouTube homepage. Become a Green Squire, Knight, Lord. Support us directly if you're able to. We would appreciate it. Okay, so let's become animals and speak. Woo!